Hey, folks, we're back again on another Wednesday night live with I-12 GIA, Real Talk with Real People. As always, uncensored, unfiltered, raw, and live. Um, Tonight, Nomad is out there someplace tonight. He's either standing on or standing by on something. I'm not sure where,
Or
so hopefully
parachuting in.
or parachuting in. Hopefully, we'll hear from him tonight too. He's going to be joining us. Okay, so for tonight, we'll start off with the normal housekeeping stuff. The opinions that we have are our own and in no way reflect the opinions of our sponsors, I-12 GIA, Peace of Mind Training, or Global Elite Tactical Training. What you see with us is what you get. So, we're running through a bunch of shit in a bucket and came up with some interesting topics for us tonight. We're going to be doing current events as Americans see them, the Trump verdict looming, Biden's disastrous presidency, Israel, Gaza, ICC, Europe impounding, and Germany doing away with pedophilia, wherever the fuck that came from. We're coming up on 8 months of hostages and/or their remains still being held in that shithole over there. So if you get a chance, maybe stop by a Facebook group. It's called Bring Them Home, and see what's going on. This is going on way too long. Okay, brother, want to start us off?
Yeah, why don't we, seeing as how you brought it up, why don't we start with that one, Israel and Gaza?
Okay.
So the big thing I heard the other day was like people's piss flippers were going because of the airstrike that killed 40 Palestinians. Well, few people
Yeah.
realize that they used the Israelis used American precision munitions to carry out that airstrike, but there were explosives that were hidden or planted by Hamas where the airstrike was conducted. So Israel really had nothing to do with killing those 40 Palestinians. Not that I really give a shit, but Hamas had the
Yeah.
explosives hidden where the strike occurred. And the word around the intelligence community is that some people even think it was planted on purpose for it to occur the way it did. So what say you?
Well, yeah, they are masters of propaganda. They've already demonstrated that. Like we were talking about earlier, it's almost Hitler-esque with Goebbels, and tell a lie long enough, and your eventually people will start to believe it. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff out there. I heard earlier that it's possible that the Hamas terrorists set the fires themselves. It might have been accidental, and shrapnel started off a fuel truck that was nearby. Apparently, there was a recording involving two Hamas operatives, apparently that Israel picked up, that and recorded as a telephone call that said that it's very possible that it was an accident for the most part. It's not something Israel did intentionally, and they
Yeah.
just wrong place at wrong time. So whatever the reason is, if it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and it's too bad. It's unfortunate. A lot of dead kids,
No,
but
war has casualties, but
yeah.
you know what? I resent people that have opinions about Israel that are negative.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been hearing a
Yep.
lot of shit
Yep,
lately.
I agree.
You know, and I mean,
Well,
I've,
isn't that the
I've
truth,
been
man? What the
I've
hell?
been hearing
What do you
some of
think?
it on here too, but that's another.
What do you think is causing that? Why is the world turning against Israel the way they are?
Because they get Israel's defending itself, which they have a right to do. Israel's been taking it from Gaza, from Hezbollah and for Hamas for the last 30 or 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
When the UN first offered up the land, they did offer it back to the Arabs. The Arabs said no. And then they went to the Jews with it and offered it back to the Jews because it was their birthright, their homeland. And so the Jewish people built it up to what it is today. Now all of a sudden, now the Arabs want it back. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
And so
exactly. Yeah, they did nothing with
no,
it.
it's just a really ugly situation. And just as a
While we're,
reminder, it's not Palestine, okay? The whole state, the
right.
whole part and parcel of land is Israel, okay? There was never a state there. If you go back 4,000 years, there was never, ever a state called Palestine. People need to get that through their heads.
Right. Okay, I think we have a pretty good video, apparently, that we can run concerning Gaza. And then I also want to talk about the dock that dumbass Biden has set up to send
You
over.
mean
I
a
got some
$300
information on
million
that, too.
disaster that's just floating aimlessly out there?
You mean the $1.4 billion
It's just like
disaster?
floating aimlessly.
Yeah. There's the now how all that came about
And
is
it
kind of
kind
an
of
interesting
and
story.
it
So I guess
beat
we'll run
like
this.
$3 or $4 billion
Hey,
naval ships too.
oh, I know. Hey, look, there's
Nomad.
Nomad.
How's it going, brother?
What's happening, bro?
Where do I begin? Yeah,
Well, that's a pretty
there I
good
was,
start.
minding my own business. When all of a sudden, the blaze man, I smelled something and I said, you know what? Thank after me. But anyway, you got me. You got me on the conversation with Israel and Hamas. It's
Finally.
quite personal to me, as
Yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
actually, just for the hell of it, here I am. Here's a ruggedly handsome likeness of me, which is yeah, about the same size as some people that actually know me. But anyway, okay, get into it.
Yeah.
Hit me with some questions because I've got a lot to say, but we also got to get people a chance to call in and exactly.
We do.
Like
Speaking of which,
ex-wife.
yeah, call us 508-974-4231. You got some pretty serious people to discuss some pretty serious shit with tonight.
Mhm.
So, pick our brains, give us a call. Okay, Nomad, let's say we were discussing this latest incident with the accidental bombing of the group in Gaza. I just lost my train of thought, man. Sorry. Yeah, we were talking
I
about.
know, but okay, here's the thing. You can't have. You can't have.
What do you think?
Here's the thing. The Israeli military, IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, are not restricted by the wokeness and proper pronoun usage as U.S. military is today. So while it may be an accident, if there's a target of opportunity arises anywhere in any military setting, one takes it. And so while it's unfortunate that there's civilian collateral, everybody, there's quite a good likelihood that they're the same people since the mid-2000s that have Hamas into power. So
Right.
it is a situation where if you've been told multiple times in your own lingo, you got to get the hell out of there because we're coming out there. Then Darwinism takes it. But the reason the Israelis have it, that it's an apology in a sense for one instance, but if the situation was reversed, would it be equally as sympathetic? If, for instance, there was Israelis holed up somewhere and there was a terrorist cell inside there, how would the world view that through that lens then? So an apology to me is the politics of the moment. From a soldier's point of view, if you have an opportunity to take out the enemy, you take out the enemy. And if you are soft resolve, you will suffer what comes. The same as you get what you vote, you get who you are. If you pick side, you pick side, and that's it. And so you have. Here's the interesting.
Yep, exactly.
there's no other Arab country at the moment making too much noise. They're doing the usual clung around the yard, but they're not actually saying anything.
Right.
Now, interestingly enough, Al Jazeera, which is a wonderful organization, which Israel recently, rightly so, the majority of their journalists, a lot of the more assignment-driven journalists are from the UK. So they have a different perspective. An Arab outside of that immediate conflict area has a completely different perspective to a person who's living there. If you've been told, get out, get out. And it's the equivalent of the Allies bombing Dresden in World War II and dropping leaflets and said, if you stay here, you're going to get burned. And guess what happened? Right. So.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Okay, apparently we have a video queued up, I guess. We're going to run that. And then after we're done with that, we're going to talk about this Biden's dock or whatever the fuck he calls that thing that just crashed and burned. Okay, let's see what we have here.
יואב גלנט, אתה לא יכול לנצח מלחמה. תתפטר.
We start with the war in Gaza. It's been more than 230 days of intense fighting. And recently, it's been one-way traffic. Israel bombing relentlessly and Hamas on the run. But over the weekend, Hamas tried to hit back. They launched a rare counterattack, that too on Tel Aviv. Take a look at these pictures. Israel counted 8 rockets. They were fired from Rafah. They flew almost 100 kilometers to Tel Aviv. It's one of the biggest cities in Israel, also the country's commercial capital. Tel Aviv was last targeted around 4 months back. Since then, it's been largely peaceful. That peace was disrupted on Sunday. Israel says they shot down most of the Hamas rockets, but air raid sirens did go off.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a question about this. Maybe you can answer that, Nomad. I'd heard something about they had some issues with the Iron Dome with this particular incident, and there was a possibility that it might have been hacked or something like that. Do you have anything on that?
Well, I know some people out there right now at the moment, okay? We'll just put it like that. And the sort of top echelon of cyber warfare is from Iran. So it's not necessarily anything new to think that they can hack into the Iron Dome. Now, the Israeli systems are quite robust and diligent. And in fact, a lot of what we had from back mid-90s with the Patriot missile system, we go back to the 80s when Reagan was in and he had the Star Wars program essence going on. The actual technology has evolved quite quickly. The majority, without risking any military sensitivity, from what I understand, and I think, Fogg, you know where I'm coming from on this, basically is that a lot of it is AI driven. It's AI. That's going to bring in a lot of debate and discussion in the public domain at a later stage. But as regards the Iron Dome being hacked, any system is not 100% robust it's not impervious to anything. Water can eventually wear down rock. So equally, you've got the cyber warfare end of it is where a lot of the warfare is being fought. There's a whole secret war going on with cyber warfare. Iran is touched with some of that stuff. People think mistakenly, respectfully to the Arab population. I suppose some people today actually from that section of society. Here's where we're at. Because what you see on TV may not resemble what you have on Main Street of small town USA, doesn't mean these people are stupid or uneducated or in any way deficit in any way compared to what the West may project. But respect, mathematics came from Babylonia.
Yeah, good point.
You know, a lot of the so bring that forward now. Technology, education standards in the Middle East is quite high. So if you have the ability to equate that into proper cyber war, I don't think it actually happened. I think it was personal, in my opinion, because the system is being used more than what it was originally designed for. Previous to when Iran launched those 300 rockets and missiles and various stuff at them just over 5 weeks ago now, the Iron Dome outperformed design. So how you evolve is you include an AI element into it, and you're going to hear about something later on. It's a thing called lavender. Any of you out there, you should research what lavender is, what Israel is using right now. I'm not talking about the essence, I'm talking about the system.
But yeah, not the smell. Okay, cool. All right, Rennie?
Hey, I got two news flashes while Nomad was talking. One from a protection guy I used to work with. BB's coming to the U.S. for a visit. Anybody else hear that?
Here's what I know, and it's not a big secret. One of BB's relatives lives in South Florida.
All right. You know, supposedly he's coming to the U.S. And then I got another news flash while you were talking. Supposedly, our illustrious Secretary of State, Blinken, said that he may allow the United States, he may allow Ukraine to strike inside of Russia with American-made weapons. So that ought to make Vladimir really happy.
He may allow.
I tell you, you've actually touched on something which may not be in the public domain too much, but here I am. I'm going to drop something on you right now. You heard of IMI, Israeli Military Industries. You've heard of IWI, Israeli Weapons Industries. Back in the 90s, the TAR-21, or the SAR-21, which is a bullpup rifle, which became the Tavor X-95, for those of us that know about these bang sticks. Ukraine had a licensed copy of Israeli systems. So when the Russian invasion of Crimea began and this whole bun fight began 3 years ago now, 2.5 years ago now, Israeli technology was on the ground with infantry units, because a lot of Ukraine is a very flat country. It's like Hungary. It's ideal for tanks, but not right now. Yeah. So they built up the warfare and built in our urban areas. They decided that the Israeli design was a very good example. Now, when the October 7th thing began, Israel was stuck for its kit, its stuff back. So there were stockpiles of stuff that was fully compatible and interchangeable. There's a term in military and in intelligence called interoperability, where you basically can take a Walmart tin of peas and a Publix tin of peas. It's the same shit, different can. The same thing comes. So the technology that we had access to, they would have had better technology and had less reliance upon the US if it had not happened. But Israel had to put stuff back. So with Mr. Blinken nuisance, or his Secretary of State, giving the permission, respectfully, who the hell does he think he is? Ukraine's not going to wait. Ukraine's going to do whatever it can to defend itself. And it's the model of the Israeli from other countries that became public pariahs for defense of their own people. I would think US stuff is all very well. US has the best overwatch of the world from a top point of view, from a satellite and from an Air Force point of view. But the real deal for Ukraine right now is building up in Romania and building in the Balkans. You're talking about Poland, up into Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia. That's where stuff's going on right now. Yeah. And a lot of US uniforms are hanging about, having a burger in these areas, you know?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, either way, it's bound to get ugly. So,
Hmm.
Or help I push my button there. Okay, you guys want to do the doc thing next, or
yeah, let's do the dock. Hit the dock.
okay? We're gonna see if we can round up an interesting video on that. Now I had heard earlier that it's up to like $1.5 billion or something like that now is what this thing has cost. And I think it's that somebody ran the numbers. It's like some ridiculous amount. Don't quote me on this, but it's like $1,700 per meal that's been provided is what each one of them costs because of this whole debacle. And that I think 13 or 16 trucks have actually made it across this thing before it fell apart. And most of those were hijacked while they were en route to the aid centers. So this thing has turned into a complete disaster. The equipment didn't work. Apparently, the Biden administration didn't send all of the equipment over that they needed to set these things up. There were some like tugboats involved and some other things. There's only like 3 left in the entire world now because Obama had cut the supply of those in half. So they're trying to put this thing together. There's been some U.S. boots on the ground injured during all this. Do you guys have anything on that?
Some naval vessels got grounded.
Yeah.
I have
like
something
US?
to say on that. Here we
Okay.
go. Historically, every 25 years, you've got some sort of small scale conflict globally. That's taught in officer colleges, it's taught in Intel, it's taught in anyone who's serious about anything, it's there. So here we are, respect to the 2 parties we've got in this country right now. The most effective campaigns in combat when you look at the demographics of it, it's always under a Republican presidency that war is better fought than under a Democrat presidency.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
you go back 30 years, go back to the Balkans when Serbia busted up. We had Bosnia, we had the whole lot of that thing going on. We had Mr. Clinton from Kissiotin with Epstein. We had a chance to get Bin Laden in the 90s. He was running around the Balkans during that time, and the presidency was like, nah, he's not really a threat to us right now. Okay. Then we had the underground car park bombing, which was a test for 9/11 in New York. And then we had 9/11 happen a few years later. So if you go back to, even with Bush, and I've got mixed feelings on Bush did brilliantly when you think about his response to 9/11. So what I'm saying is that you have a presidency and your military top brass reflects the prevailing policy. Look what's happened. When you have a Republican president, you have law and order, you have a strong military, and you have strong funding. You have a no-nonsense approach by the top brass. Look who's in charge of our military right now. Mr. Biden can't find his left sock, but he has access to the nuclear codes. If he sees a jar of Ben & Jerry's and the nuclear football, Ben & Jerry will become Tom and Jerry, and we're not going to have it. So our enemies of the U.S. capitalize whenever there's a Democratic presidency. Our enemies capitalize when we have a Democratic weakness in our military. When you have to wave a card at somebody now because you didn't call it a proper pronoun in military, in boot camp, they should relegate any Democrat presidency and any military top brass, the Salvation Army, to the crouton platoon, because they have no effectiveness. They have no knowledge of how to fight a war. None. And historically, look at the battles. Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Bush won. Iraq, Afghanistan. Those ones that cost so many lives here, not just U.S. lives, but everyone, including Afghan lives. Under a U.S. strong Republican presidency, you had more effectiveness on the ground. Anytime that we have a Democrat president, we pull out. And look.
Well, yeah, That goes back to, well, the original Iran hostage crisis and the gas crisis. You know,
Yeah.
President Peanut was the one that was running all of that, and you saw what happened.
Yeah.
So I'll give you two good examples: General Milley and Lloyd Austin. They can't find the toilet paper to wipe their ass.
Yeah.
Toilet paper. I think Falk has recently seen a special edition that I got, but I can't put it on air.
Yeah.
But
Sure you can.
basically, yeah. But what I'm saying is, you're correct. The what they call the piss of the Iran thing was bad enough. The only one that had a little bit of the street cred was when Steve Six took out Geronimo. Obama Hillary Clinton, one of the success has okay, start on that.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, Nomad, try to refresh your page there, buddy. Your connection's falling apart. And while we're waiting, folks, give us a call. And yeah, he definitely cannot get a single sentence right, let alone run the great country. Okay, give us a call, 508-974-4231. You're here with Fog, Brenny, and Nomad today. And as soon as possible, we're going to try to get back on track with our doc issue here. I think that's kind of a good example of one of our topics, which is Biden's disastrous presidency. This is kind of that doc falling apart is kind of all encompassing. It's almost a metaphor for his.
Did we get the video?
Yeah, apparently we do. I think there's some technical issues they're working on with Nomad right now. So we'll just kind of keep
move on to the next topic until we get the video back?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. We can do that.
Why don't we go with Biden's disastrous presidency?
Yeah, that works.
So
yeah,
what we have.
Wait, do we have a caller? Or what's going on there? I don't know. Anyway.
You have
Go
a
ahead.
caller, yeah. You have a
What
caller.
we have with,
Hey, caller. Hey, caller, you're on the air with I-12 GIA, Real Talk with Real People.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Will. I called in once before, kind of a brief call, but I wanted to touch on the Israel-Palestine issue, if I could.
Sure, go ahead, buddy.
I'm not anti-Israeli in any way. I understand why the Jews are doing what they're doing. I think they're fighting wars the way wars should be fought. War should be terrible, so you don't want to do it ever again, right? I mean, I get that. That said, the one thing that I think is constantly missed whenever we get into this kind of pissing match in the Middle East is the actual innocent people that are getting trampled on. I'm not doing the whole Muslim Jew thing. I'm talking about Nazareth is a Christian bastion. It's where Christ walked, and the Christians there are being crushed between the millstone of both of these ideologies. And we fund it, and we don't do shit about it. We just allow it to happen. I mean, look at what happened to the the Christian population in Iraq. They're gone. Syria, they're all but gone. We worried about the Yazidis. We bitched and cried as a nation about the 4 Yazidis. While the Christians were slaughtered, we just kind of rolled our eyes and yawned and forgot about it. There was just a Catholic nun, or 2 Catholic nuns, that were shot by snipers on Catholic church grounds over there in Israel. And, I get the fog of war. I fought in the war myself. I understand that shit. But, I mean, I think us as a Christian nation, we should be telling the Jews, look, I understand what you're doing. I get it. Give them hell. But if we find out you're screwing with the Christians over there, because I can tell you right now, first-hand experience, Christians are not treated very well in Israel. They're really not. You can get spit on. You're a second-class citizen, absolutely. Self-determination is for the Jews and the Jews only. That's in their laws. All right? You're not allowed to evangelize. You're not allowed to talk about your religion, any of that stuff as a Christian over there. You do it, you run the risk of, being on the wrong end of the legal system. So I think we should be making it clear to the Jews, do what you got to do. But if we find out you're fucking with the Christians, If we find out you're doing what we think you might be doing, it's game over. You're by yourself. But we don't do that enough. We don't stand up for our own people over there who are legitimately the most innocent out of all of them. They just want to be left alone. And I think we're failing them. I think we failed Christians all over the world while we slap fight about, the poor Jews and the poor Muslims and what would me to them, and we just ignore the Christians. I think it's wrong.
Yeah, I think you are 100% right.
Well, it's happening here. It's happening here in this country too.
Oh, yeah, pretty much worldwide.
Oh,
Okay, yeah. Yeah, great caller. Thanks, buddy. That's,
Anyway,
that's an excellent
good night.
point. Okay. All right. Good. Let's see. We had a video ready to roll, I think. We have Nomad back. Did you get refreshed? Yep. Okay. This is
Sure.
all right. We're going to go back to our doc situation here, which is again part of Biden's failed presidency or whatever word, disastrous presidency.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox, and I do want to take you back to several stories that we are covering from around the world at this point, and this is actually just some of the images that are coming in out of the Middle East as we do get to the latest here. 3 U.S. service members have been injured during the effort to create that temporary pier off the coast of Gaza to help move humanitarian aid into that region. U.S. officials telling Reuters that one of the service members was taken to an Israeli hospital listed in critical condition. Now, we know that all of the injuries, we're told, were considered to be, quote, non-combat injuries. U.S. Vice Admiral Brad Cooper with U.S. Central Command telling reporters that 2 of the troops had only a sprained ankle and a minor back injury. The service member in critical condition was reportedly injured at sea, though specifics have not officially been released at this point. That service member, again, we are still waiting to figure out more about how that person is doing. The pier was announced by President Biden back in March and involved the military assembling the floating structure off the coast. It went into operation just last week. We also did cover this breaking news this morning. Sadly, we did learn that the bodies of another 3 hostages have been recovered from Gaza. The Israel Defense Forces making the announcement earlier today, saying that all 3 were murdered on October 7th when Hamas did launch that attack on Israel, sparking the war between the 2 sides. This comes less than 1 week after the army said that it found the bodies of 3 other Israeli hostages as well. The IDF making a brief statement about all of this as the news did break.
It is with a heavy heart that I share that last night, Israeli special forces in Gaza rescued the bodies of our hostages, Hanania Vlonka, Michelle Nissenbaum, Orion Hernandez. Their bodies were rescued during a special operation based on precise intelligence in the area of Gaza. Hanan was partying with his friends at the Nova Music Festival. He was murdered by Hamas terrorists and his body was taken into Gaza. Michel, an Israeli and Brazilian citizen, was on his way to pick up his 4-year-old granddaughter. He was murdered by Hamas terrorists and his body was taken into Gaza. Orion Hernandez, a tourist from Mexico with French citizenship, was partying with his girlfriend, Shani Luke, at the Nova Music Festival. Shani and Orion were celebrating life in the Nova Music Festival. They were both murdered by Hamas terrorists and their bodies were taken into Gaza. Our hearts go out to their families at this difficult time. There are men, women, children, and babies being held by Hamas in living hell across our border in Gaza. We will not stop fighting for their freedom. Country in the world would do the same.
Can't go? Do this to clear out stuck poop fast. On June 17th in 2019,
Missile strikes continue as the Israel-Hamas war rages on. And we know the Israeli government is out in Tel Aviv, Israel, giving an update on the Israel-Hamas war right now and an update on the latest of the hostage situation. Take a listen.
Yeah, we can go ahead and kill the video now, and then I think we have a break coming up.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Do we lose Nomad again?
Yes. Nomad's back. He's right here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Can I jump in with something here right now?
Go ahead.
The real story, and there were two stories there in that newscast. One was about the pier, which is equivalent to giving Joe Biden matching socks. Duplo blocks would do better, right? The real deal is not about the pier. The hostages are the real story. Let me explain something to you right on this. Whether the hostages are dead or alive, they have a value to Israel. Hamas knows that. So when you find 3 dead bodies that have been kept since October 7, and that's now going on, we're into May, almost June. So it's 6 months and 2 months. That's 8 months of bodies with very poor refrigeration. You hear what I'm saying? Where I'm going with this?
Yep.
There are customs within the Jewish faith, Middle Eastern faith, different things, right? Not just Islam and Judaism. So you must bury the body in a certain length of time. This is why Israel is not going to give up, because Hamas knows whether they're alive or dead. The chances of all those hostages being alive is quite small. So every body, every corpse, put it bluntly, that they have, Hamas will trade. They will use that as leverage. They don't care if they're dead or alive. They don't care.
Yeah.
I know of direct experience of where people were operating there and they located some of the early hostage bodies going back. One guy I know was out there 4 months at the very start of this. Within the first 2 weeks, he was out there for 4 months. And what he told me, I would not have been prepared for. So those bodies are leveraged by that. Listen, in World War II, we built pontoon bridges on basic technology, right? We're in the 21st century now, and we can't get a floating pier onto a beach. What type of capability does that? What does that tell our enemies on our capability to unload a battalion?
That we're not prepared at all.
We're not prepared at all. So, but the IDF thing, reference your last caller, he made a very valid and honestly good point. He is correct in what he said. Christians in Israel are not treated very well. He's absolutely correct in that. And it is a case of where it is oppressive at times being a Christian. But I would say to balance it on the other side of it, to be fair to the gentleman, and he wore a uniform too, I'm sure. Sometimes I'm not condoning anything, believe me, but I've seen some Christian groups on tour groups acting unchristian when they reach the Holy Land. This is before October 7. So there's a lot of cultural sensitivity that Christians visiting, especially from the US mainland, forget how to behave when they're not in their hometown. And that has done a lot in recent times. The Hasidic Jews and others who are ultra-Orthodox, they will never give a Christian a fair hearing. They will be very aggressive to you. But the majority of Israelis, I tell you respectfully, they don't care. They don't care because they got to go on with their life. But the man is correct in what he said, and I would agree with him on that. And I'm sorry that it is like that, but he's correct. I jump in with 3 points. Over to you, Fog.
You're muted, Fog.
We're going to do the break.
Sorry, gotta push a button.
Oh, whoa, super loud. Yeah, we're going to take a break real quick, ladies and gentlemen. Fog's going to fix his mic, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes. So stick around for more of I-12 GIA, Real Talk with Real People. Special guest tonight is Mr. Nomad. We will be right back.
My name is Steven, your public relations officer at FFN Media Network. We believe that every story deserves to be heard. Every voice deserves to be amplified, and every idea deserves to shine. As a small media company, we are committed to creating a platform where content creators, visionaries, and changemakers like you can thrive. You might say to yourself, why do we need FFN Network? Well, let me tell you what we can do for you. 1. Our mission is simple: empower, elevate, and engage. We are not just another media outlet. 2. Our producers will help you build your show, add content, and put you on 15 different platforms. 3. We help you promote your show. Whether it is through captivating articles, thought-provoking videos, or inspiring podcasts, we are here to help you make a difference. What sets us apart? At FFN Media Network, we embrace hard work. Our team of talented producers and creators come from all social classes, ensuring that our content reflects a rich tapestry of experiences, cultures, and viewpoints. Join the FFN team. Join FFN Media Network and be part of a community that celebrates creativity, authenticity, and positive impact. Let us amplify your voice and share your story on FFN Network and with the world. Get to know our founder, Blaise St. Pierre, the new guy in the media industry. So if you have a great idea for a show or a business and want to place an ad on FFN Network, give us a call at 774-704-5145 or email us at ffnnetwork9@gmail.com and join the FFN Network family. Thank you. FFN Network.
Okay, and we're back. I think I got my mic fixed this time. So. All right, Rennie, what do you want to do next, buddy? We're barely making our way through our topic list here.
All right, the Biden disastrous presidency. It's let's start with the Biden crime family. We get the daughter Ashley.
Okay.
That Sox Joe supposedly showered with. We get the prodigal son who's going on trial in 2 weeks on the gun charges. We got the brother Joe, and to an extent, the sister's involved in it too. You know?
Yeah, what's up with him showing up with at her house or something recently?
I would classify that as a witness intimidation, maybe. Yeah, something that they gagged Donald Trump over so he wouldn't do. Biden shows up at the daughter's house that Hunter was banging after, what?
Right, yeah.
It's just involved in a damn thing, too, for Christ's sake.
Well, yeah, it's like the infamous tarmac meeting with Clinton and the AG. Remember that, where they traded recipes?
Who was the AG?
Loretta Lynch.
Ah, all right. I thought I was the only one that knew that.
No. Well, that was in Phoenix, man. So.
Yeah. Let's how about Joe's cognitive issues?
Oh man, it's almost cliched now. Even it's really sad. If he wasn't such a, I feel sorry for him if he wasn't such a despicable human being.
Nomad hit the nail on the head. If he had to reach for the nuclear football or the Ben and Jerry's, he'd reach for the Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah. Well, I'm really hoping everybody's keeping him completely away from anything that's of any importance.
So
'cause,
here's
he's
my thing. Here's why I wanted to bring this up.
okay.
And I first became aware of it during 9/11. But it's been going on for a while. You ever hear the term shadow government?
Shadow government?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So that's who I think is running the country right now, the shadow government.
Shadow
Okay.
government. Yeah.
Obviously, this dink hasn't got the cognitive abilities or the brains that God gave him. In fact, when God was giving out brains, Joe thought he said trains and he took the first one, but he hasn't got the brains that God gave him, to run the country.
Yeah.
And
It's a mess.
let's forget about that. Let's talk about what he's done to the fucking economy.
Oh, I know. My God, it's a disaster.
You can't go to the supermarket today and come out, with 3 or 4 bags and $140 with nothing in them.
Weren't you telling me that Charles Barker,
Charles Payne, his
Charles
favorite
Payne.
thing is corn on the cob. Didn't get it for Memorial Day because it went up 149%.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. Hey, caller.
It's Nomad.
There you go. Now you're thinking. See, I like a thinking man. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, his video's not working, so I hope he's going to be smart enough to call into the show.
Oh yeah, he's got his shit
So
together.
we can hear you loud and clear, Nomad. Go ahead. Fogman, what was you saying? Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, Jeff here just said that I wouldn't let that doddering old fool touch an Etch-a-Sketch.
No.
And Ann's had some really good comments too. Thank you all for jumping in there. Give us a call, 508-974-4231. Go ahead,
But
Rennie.
Biden can't walk and talk and chew gum at the same time, and I'm a firm believer that the reason that they're so hot on getting this debate done in June is because they're trying to make it push has come to shove, and they're going to make a decision right at that time, I think, whether or not to pull him out.
Yeah, there's no way in the world. I don't know what they're thinking with this debate thing, man. It's crazy.
I have. This is Nomad.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
guys.
Nomad. Got you, buddy.
Unfortunately, I have a hamster who pedals a little bicycle and he keeps the power going, and the chain came off the bike, so I lost the video. But anyway, here's where I'm at. I have a different take on that. Is anybody looking at Michelle Obama right now?
Yeah.
Michelle Obama has been quietly fundraising behind the scenes. Kamala Harris is about as welcome as a toot in a spacesuit, so she's not going to get anywhere. She's got no national success. She's been a single cell organism for most of her VP. But I would think the timing, as Rennie has said, is very significant. In June every year, presidents get a medical checkup. Okay.
That's an excellent point.
What makes you think Michelle Obama?
Nomad, you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Yeah. Why are you thinking Michelle Obama?
What makes you think Michelle Obama?
Okay. Michelle Obama was the partner in crime, and I use that term loosely, for Barack Obama, who was a constitutional lawyer, a professional student, never prosecuted a case to anybody in front of any judge, but he is an expert on everything in relation to it being one-dimensional. He's never prosecuted a court case in front of a judge. Michelle Obama and him, when they were hanging out together before they became husband and wife, that's a whole different story as well, apparently. But anyway, when they were involved with community activism, she was the brains and he was the face. And now he's after expending his 2 terms. So now we've got her next. She's the equivalent of Oprah Winfrey, but political voice. So she's one of the few things that can save the African American vote and support for the Democrats, whereas Kamala Harris basically cannot, because she has no credibility with that. In this past few days, when Biden was at Moorhead or Morehouse, wherever it was, that university, which is another whole story with that. MLK went there, right? Did some good stuff, obviously, with that, right? Didn't end up very well for him, unfortunately, because people couldn't take what he was doing. But here's what I'm at. The students turned their backs on Biden. There's footage showing on all the main news medias. They turned their back on Biden. If they're going to turn their back on Biden, they're going to turn their back on Kamala Harris. They will not turn their back on the Obamas, because the Obamas have their own TV channel. They got their own TV network, right? The legacy of Martin Luther King has been absolutely diluted. He is not just an African American figure, as much as Nelson Mandela was not just a South African figure, right? As in post-Rhodesia into Zimbabwe. No, he is a global figure, influenced everybody. Now, they're trying to capitalize upon a small sector of the vote, but we're forgetting one thing. June is when presidents get their medical checkups as well, okay? So we're going to see what's going to happen with good old Joe, right? Number two.
Well, they're not going to tell us anyways, Nomad. They won't tell us.
They will not tell us. But what they'll do is he's going to. I honestly think that he is still going to run. I don't think he's going to change in midstream. The only time, especially at a time like this, we're on the point of some sort of conflict, and you never change a presidency midstream, either just before a conflict. So whether we like it or not,
that's political suicide.
We're on the point of conflict here on U.S. We're on the point of conflict here on U.S. soil.
Say again, Rennie?
I says we're on the point of conflict here on U.S. soil.
With who?
Yeah.
With who?
With who?
With the Democrats.
Oh, so we're talking what?
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see about what I don't want to think about.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's I got to go with Nomad on this too. I've been thinking I'm going to hit Michelle Obama all along. Because it's just God. Can you imagine?
What about all the interviews with her saying no, she's not running, she's not interested. She's got a life.
Bottom line though, Nomad, is if she would have jumped in at the right time, this would have been over for Trump.
Yeah,
she'd beat Trump hands down. Unfortunately, the truth.
Well, like I said, the debate is in June.
She doesn't want to. She doesn't want to be president, though. That I do know. I've read and watched some, some serious interviews, and she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to run.
But I think that's why the debate's in June, and they're going to make a decision right after the debate to pull Biden out of the.
Go ahead, Nomad. Go ahead, Nomad.
Here's something. I'm chomping at the bit here. Listen. You got an example right now.
He's an exciting motherfucker, huh? Go ahead, Nomad.
I'm my juice is the flowing, buddy. I tell you right now, right? You have an example now on the world stage at this present moment in time of somebody who's got no political experience and he's running a country at war. Zelensky, Ukrainian president, was a TV actor.
Yeah, fucking comedian.
Had no political, and look what he's doing right now.
Exactly.
He's facing the Russian bear.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point.
But are you comparing him to Biden?
Well, I would tell you this, right? No, I'm not. But here's what I'm saying. Biden is the equivalent of a glove puppet, right? Whereas Zelensky has grown into the job. Whereas here's the thing.
Yeah, Nomad. I mean, it's not a bad thing that you're comparing him to fucking Biden. What you're saying is exactly what I'm pretty sure that what you're saying is that, look, Biden. I mean, the guy that was on a fucking TV talk show and was a fucking comedian, stand-up comedian, in Ukraine, never mind you. So this guy's hitting clubs. You know what I mean? He's not, you know, he's a huge actor, whatever the situation is, and he's running a war against Russia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't. I don't think Zelensky really wanted it. I think they just fucking handed it to him because nobody else did.
But here's the thing: you're talking about role models. Every generation, every ethnicity has a role model, from music to TV to whatever. You have it right now. So who's a good role model that can basically bridge between the younger vote and those that have a blind allegiance just based upon skin tone? It's going to be Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Because I tell you, and I hate shit like that, but that's it. That's just how it is. That's just how it is.
That's
I
fucked
tell
up.
you, I have a lot of African American friends who say to me, we don't want to vote Democrat because the Democrats we voted for once are no longer the same party.
Yeah, and they're waking up and realizing that you know, it's crazy that it's a shame that you got like groups like Antifa, and Black Lives Matter and all that stuff like that. And those groups are being put together by the Democrats to pretty much brainwash the African American areas, and just keep them people feeling like they're fucking dumb and they're fucking stupid and everything else under the sun. Listen, you don't need a daddy to be home and help you raise your children, because we'll fucking give you money and we'll take care of you, and vote for us and vote for us and vote for us. Right?
Well, yeah. But
That's the Democratic Party in a nutshell.
Well, here's the thing. They're going to fall upon their own sword, and Republicans have the same danger of it happening to them. Because I'll tell you what's happened. The illegal immigration that's coming in here, the level of it's coming in. There was a time when when you talk about a minority in U.S. society, you talk of an African-American neighborhood which had very little options, very little chances. I tell you, I grew up in a very humble place, and I found out something very early from a very early age. No money means no options. So it doesn't matter what your skin tone is. It's what's in your pocket, what's on your plate at mealtime. Now, here's where we're at. With the illegals coming in, they're taking the money away from what was once traditionally a minority. So all of a sudden, you've got a competition now within the same demographic. Who's more poor? Who's poor? Who's more of a minority?
Yes. Oh, fuck Nomad. That's exactly what's going through my mind. You know what I mean? That's exactly what they're doing, because the Democrats, they're smart crooks. Trust me. And they look ahead. They really do. They don't care. All right, so what? A fucking Republican president comes in for 4 years, right? Now, they're thinking ahead. So they're like, okay, so now African Americans are getting smart. You know what I mean? There's a lot more African Americans that are middle-class people, and they're going to be smart, and they're going to realize that voting Republican is maybe a better life for them. In the meantime, Democrats are saying, okay, now we got the fucking the migrants. The migrants. We got their vote. Now they're the next.
You're dead on, buddy.
Right.
You're dead on.
Right.
You're now replacing one minority with a new minority.
Right.
That's what you're doing.
Right.
When you've got a state like Nevada,
You boys know what that means. Nomad hit that shit on the head, baby. Nomad hit that shit on the head.
Well, here's the thing. When you have a state like Nevada, which gives illegal immigrants licenses, and you can do what you want, you can come in here, get a check, and get an airline ticket, and you get a USCIS CBP card to allow you to travel internally in the country. When you've got what we've got right now, no other country has allowed a wave of people to do this. So you're replacing one minority with a new minority, and it's all about people's interest is proportional to their pocket.
Right, man. You hit it straight on the nut. So, Fogman, you want to hit this video on Biden's economy? Common economist.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Rennie, what do you think? We're coming up.
We hit Biden enough. I want to move on to the Trump.
All right. You guys have got some time.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to do Trump verdict? Yeah. Okay.
Trump verdict.
All right. Go ahead. Start talking, boy.
So the Trump verdict is looming. I actually thought it would be over today, but I'm thinking the end of the day tomorrow, Friday at the latest. They're going to come back with a guilty verdict.
You think? All of the experts.
I read the 50. Have you read the 55 pages of Juan Matron's instructions?
No, nobody
He's-
has apparently.
Well, I got a copy of them. So he's actually left the jury no choice but to find him guilty of something.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I saw that. Why do you think he's? Why do you think he hasn't? He won't give the jury the copies of the instructions. What's the problem there? What's the issue?
Because Juan Matron, in my estimation, is scum. Okay, he's right from the fucking mold of the Nazi judges who were prosecuted by the tribunal in Nuremberg.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's cut from the same mold.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. You want to run this video that Blaze has, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, Blaze, go ahead, run the video.
Nothing's really changed in terms of our perspective. Listening to the jury charges was concerning, to be honest. I think that they were, and it's been widely reported since we came out of the jury charges, that there is clearly any of the 4 underlying crimes that he could have done. They don't care what it was. The judge said basically all you have to do is figure out whether there was intent or not. And there has been no proof of that. But the judge gave a very, very generous bandwidth to the prosecution. And I think that's why the president's comments and sentiments are exactly accurate. You know, Mother Teresa really couldn't get out of this one, because if you say, you know, if you have intent for a scintilla of a second, and it could be for anything, for any one of these 4 things, taxes, campaign, all the things that frankly they showed no evidence of, but they gave them so much breadth that I have concerns.
Do you have faith, though, in fellow New Yorkers as a jury of your peers? I don't know that it's possible to find a jury of your peers for somebody like a former president, but faith in the system here and these New York jurors is now, his fate sits in their hands.
Shannon, I haven't had faith in the state of New York since I saw what they do to President Trump and started working for him. I'll be honest with you. What I've seen over the past few cases, what I've seen in some of the other cases in the state of New York, what I've seen with the coordination with DAs and AGs, and we have some information that's come out today, obviously, about judges' affiliations and other things like that. I mean, it's corrupt as can be. And unfortunately, the state of New York has failed its citizens. And we're seeing it time and time again. But it's failed its citizens for one party, and that's silencing the Republican Party. And it's not right. It's un-American. And frankly, at this point, you know, I've had enough angry sound bites in these courthouses now. I could say almost entire block. I was down there for 11 weeks. I was at another courthouse behind me for 3 weeks, and now I'm here. It's a disgrace to the American people, and we should all pray to save our country, frankly, at this point.
Well, do you think, though, that the jury can parse through that, can consider all of those things? They were told to quiet the outside noise, quiet the outside voices. But listen, the whole world is watching this. They're watching and waiting this jury. They must feel the pressure of that. And do you trust? We know there are at least 2 attorneys on the panel as well. Do you trust that they're going to work through this in a responsible manner, though?
You know, I don't think it matters what your profession is. I think that it's a good thing they're asking questions. It's a good thing they're trying to look at testimony, credibility. I think that's very important here. I think credibility is the one thing that they absolutely have shown that they have none of, from the top to the bottom, frankly. And if the jury considers that and discredits any testimony that was frankly false, then, and it all was, in my opinion, then we're going to be fine and we should get an acquittal. But we're in the jury charges, I thought were a bit unfair, very unfair, frankly. And President Trump is President Trump. And what they're doing really is not about books and records. It's a sideshow. It's a way to stop the American people from looking at President Biden's policies that are failing. It's a way from distracting. And if you look at what happened yesterday with Robert De Niro, that is a low state of our country. We've got a old-timer actor coming from California as a spokesperson for a campaign, the current administration running America. What a sad state of affairs. It is just pathetic.
Well, let me ask you this. It seems like, and President Trump, he predicted this when before the first indictment even happened here with Alvin Bragg more than a year ago. He said it would be good for him. He thought.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, hey, Ann is asking, what was the jury note?
Nobody knows. He said he'd take it up tomorrow.
Yeah, no,
really?
the note.
Right.
Asking, hold on a minute, yeah, please. I'm trying to shut this thing down. It's aggravating me. All right, okay, now quiet.
Good job.
Yeah, hold
Good
on,
job.
man. I got a little bit of this set up, if you don't mind, because I prepared myself a tiny bit because in case you guys asked me if I wanted to say hello and shit. Yeah, okay. So the jury requested Cohen and Pecker's testimony tapes. Okay,
Right.
the defense, Michael Cohen testify. Let's see. At 3:28 p.m., waiting for jury to go into court to hear Coffin and Pecker's testimony tapes. Still haven't heard anything yet. So let's see. Yeah, so that's where they're at right now. But that's what they wanted to hear. I'm sorry, they wanted to hear the.
So the last the last I heard, Merchant said he was going to let the lawyers decide what they wanted to do, and then they'd talk about it.
Well, I guess we'll
But
figure
that's
it
what
out
they
tomorrow
asked
then.
for. Well, that's what they asked for. They want to hear those tapes. So that's what they did. They did go into the judge went in the courtroom, the jury went in the courtroom, and they listened to those tapes. And then when they were done, the judge was like, okay, you guys and gals are done for the day, you know? And then questions came up. Oh, there's lawyers on the jury and all that shit like that. So, that's what was in the note, and they wanted to hear the Cohen and Pecker tapes about what they were talking about, the Trump Tower. Is everybody familiar with that? That's what the deal
Yeah.
was there. So,
Okay.
Sorry, fellas, Nomad here. Have you guys looked at the non-US news coverage of this trial? You get a slightly different view of it. It's completely different. It's not entirely too different, but in some aspects it very much is. Give an example. Sky News in the UK is part of the Fox network that we have here in the US. Rupert Murdoch used to own the two of them, right, before he did something silly.
Yep.
But the tenacity of the U.S. media on it, you can see it. We all know which channels, which news outlets are which way they lean politically.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
So it's a given. You already know what you're going to be fed. You know what I'm saying? It's the same crap from the day before. Here's what I'm at. If you pick a couple of different countries' news broadcasts and their national sort of lead or top news outlets include Russia Today, Al Jazeera, BBC, Sky News, TV5 in France, right? And then you're looking at how they look at this. You got some independent news outlets as well. But here's where they're saying the trial itself is not primarily that important. It's the implications for the presidency and how it's going to affect case law in New York State itself, but also the longer term implications. If you imprison a president, what's going to happen? Constitutionally, it's a crisis. So is this thing, obviously there's a little bit of social engineering going on here, but political engineering has always been part of it. It's Machiavellian in how it's been done. But my point to this is, what you're being fed at home, depending upon your political point of view, they're already telling you what you already feel like. So they're just keeping you full and keeping you smug. And if your belly is full, you're going to keep agreeing with it and keep watching the same crap. But Trump has played. If they convict Trump, they've guaranteed his re-election. But the cost of that constitutionally, from a national point of view, it's going to put us in crisis. But but from the New York State point of view, look what's happened in New York State this past, just pre-COVID. Go back 5 years, pre-COVID, right? And what happened? Cuomo, right? That other idiot who's in there right now, right? You have, we welcome our immigrants, and all of a sudden you have guys saying, there's no more room in New York. The rats are objected. The rats are on the sidewalks with placards saying, no more immigrants. Trump, this whole thing is a weapon of mass distraction. It has nothing to do with other than political that. When you have an actor, Robert De Niro, outside of a sitting courtroom trying to influence the jury by proxy, and that's allowed by a sitting president, we have a problem here. We have a problem here. And This is being looked upon. America's integrity is at risk overseas from this, and that has implications in the long term. Not just about Trump. This is bigger than Trump. This is much bigger than Trump, and Trump himself knows that.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're going to see some major changes in the justice system depending on how this plays out, which is something that needs to be done. Hey, Rennie, you still alive there, brother?
Yeah, I'm just sending you something.
Okay.
I feel vindicated, so I'm sending it to you.
On January 6th, while Republican lawmakers despicably tried to keep the loser Trump, in the White House, and Trump-inspired insurrectionists stormed the Capitol, brave men and women from law enforcement put their lives on the line to defend this country. Our democracy. They are the true heroes. These guys are the true heroes. They stood and put their lives on the line.
Watch what the guy in the audience says to him.
For these lowlives, for Trump.
They lied under oath.
They lied under oath.
Yeah,
that's what he says. Watch.
Nice.
And this fucking piece of shit, De Niro, right? This is how Democrats are. This is how liberals are, right? He watch. He doesn't even know how to answer them. You know what I mean? Because you know why? Because he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. All right. Because if De Niro was some big political guy, right, and then now he's part of the Biden administration or whatever, and his campaign, you know what I mean? You'd think he would be a little bit political updated, right? He doesn't have a fucking clue. None. And this is how Democrats deal with people that they can't explain to what's really happened. All right. So at this this point, go ahead, Nomad.
Sorry, no, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry. I've lost the live video feed, so I've only got audio. So I don't want to be jumping in too much on people, so forgive me. Interestingly enough, I heard from somebody about in the New York area that the protection detail that was surrounding Mr. De Niro were also the same people who are employed to look after the personalities on The View. So doesn't that just tell you something?
Oh, no, sir. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
No kidding.
Allegedly.
Well, you know what they say about
allegedly. Yeah. Okay. I like allegedly. We can go with that. All right. You want to finish this up? Because this is hilarious. This is hilarious.
Under oath.
They lied under oath. Right. Who lied under oath? What are you telling me?
Those two traitors behind you. They lied under oath. Watch.
Excuse me?
Those two traitors behind you.
They lied under oath?
That's right.
What are you saying?
Look. Typical liberal reaction. Okay. Now all of a sudden he's like, now he's leaning forward. Okay. I'm giving Nomad some, detail movements here. You know, De Niro's leaning into the crowd a little bit towards the guy that's saying it. And he's like, these guys were traitors? Oh, yeah? Now watch.
They're traitors. You got I don't know. I don't even know how to deal with you, my friend. I don't even know how to deal with you.
See? That's his fucking answer.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to deal with you, my friend. Yeah. I don't even know how to deal with you. You know what I mean? Nothing to back up like, these guys are true patriots. You don't know what you're talking about. His answer, I don't know how to deal with you. You know?
Yep.
They stood there. They didn't have to.
This is why we need term limits here, fellas.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And there were other ones in there who probably were in with them a little bit too, and they found a way to get around. Not these guys. They stood there and fought for us, for you. For you.
Well, they weren't fighting for me.
No.
He says they weren't fighting for me.
Oh, they fought for you, buddy. You're able to stand right here now.
See? Now he's getting confused with these guys being military guys and security officers for the fucking for the building, right? Y'all hear it, right? Because I know he's getting confused with that. Because why? Oh, why? Because of an insurrection? Oh God! Oh, why you still here? This is why you're still here. Go ahead, Fogman.
Well, the fat guy murdered Ashley Babbitt.
Oh, he's the one who shot her?
And was never held to account for that.
He's the one who shot her.
Yeah. That's that lieutenant.
Really? I didn't know who the shooter was of her.
Yeah, police.
Oh yeah. Well,
I'll
yeah.
get you his name.
All right, this is almost done. This guy's a fucking
Yeah, go ahead.
clown.
Oh, they fought for you, buddy. You're able to stand right here now.
Yeah. Okay, pal.
They are the true heroes. I'm honored to be with these two heroes today, from former Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn and former Metropolitan Police Officer Michael Fanone.
Former. You know why they're former? You want to know why? Because they're probably trying to collect a fucking disability check now.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, one of them
fucked
ran
up
for
now.
Senate or something, but all right, we got to wrap this up, fellas, I think. Okay, Rennie, you got anything else, brother?
Yeah, I got one more quick thing.
Okay.
The name of the scumbag is Lieutenant Michael Bird. But anyway, I got one more quick thing. Having experienced it when I was with the sheriff's department, hypothetically speaking, are you guys aware that Merchant has the power to nullify the jury's verdict?
Yeah.
If he's,
Yep.
So if
No, if
by some
that fucking go ahead, I'm sorry.
if by some
please.
strange twist of fate that Trump was found not guilty, Merchant could nullify that.
Yeah. Yeah, the piece of shit can go, well, I decide he's fucking guilty.
I decide he's guilty, yeah.
You know, what's the point then? What's the point of having 12 jurors?
Because
What's the
they want
point?
Trump out
You
of the
get rid of
race.
the fucking jurors, and if I forget what the name of the case would be called, you know what I mean? But you know, you get rid of the jurors, and you just have the judge make the call. You know,
That's called a bench trial.
Right, but you can't have both, Rainey. You can't have both.
Well, that's why it's called jury nullification, because the judge decides he doesn't like the jury's
I'm
verdict.
sorry, fellas. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, buddy.
I think there's another thing. I think there's one more thing in play. I know we're short on time, so I'm going to run with it. Right? You're going to have the same type of problems, the same type of questions being asked about jury selection when Biden's son goes into court next week or whenever it's going to be. The difficulty in finding a jury that's not biased either way politically, either pro or far Democrat in relation to his 4473, which is the firearms over the counter form. When his ex-wife threw a revolver into a dumpster. Okay, and that's going to come out, right? Okay, the gun was found in a dumpster. She threw the gun in a dumpster, but that's neither here nor there. So this whole trial is setting a precedent in law. There's nothing in New York state law ever been tried like this. So whatever the outcome, is going to change law in that jurisdiction, but also it's going to change the Constitution of New York, because it has to. Because if he's acquitted, he can seek damages, okay, which he probably will do, right? Which your ability to pay is one thing, yeah. But if he's found guilty, it is utterly, utterly political. And even the man in the street who's disinterested in politics, you're going to see three things happen in this next week. You're going to see the same debate about the jury selection with Hunter Biden. You're going to see Ice Cream Joe tap into the National Reserves and drop a gallon of gas by about 50 cents, and he keep us all smug and happy, right? Dumb and happy. So we'll drive our way towards election day in November. He'll drop the price of gas lower than Sam's Club, okay? And then number three, Trump, no matter what happens to him now, they've given him more publicity than he ever could have paid for.
Right.
And the thing is, with Trump in particular, Trump in New York, he contributes to both Democrat and Republican. You can't build something in New York without having to grease some palms. That's it. Democrat and Republican know that. So he's a keeper of secrets. He knows everything about Democrats and Republicans, which is why he was a threat to the rhinos and a threat to the Democrats. He's the man who knows too much because he can afford his own campaign. That's the real problem right now. When you're not in either camp and you're someone who's doing it because it's the right thing to do, then you have a more dangerous adversary, because neither Republican or Democrat are prepared for someone like Trump. And that's the real change that's coming here.
There you have it.
Okay. Excellent analysis, as always. So we're going to go ahead and close this out then. Rennie, you got anything else, buddy?
No, I'm good. I think it was a great show.
Okay. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and close it up as always. So you've been with I-12GIA, Real Talk with Real People, raw and uncensored. Again, our comments and thoughts and suggestions are our own. They don't reflect the opinions of our sponsors, which are I-12GIA, Peace of Mind Training, and Global Elite Tactical Training. As always, give the ones you love a big hug and keep them close. Be prepared to self-rescue, and we will see you next time.
Nomad, it was a pleasure, brother. See you next week, pal.
Back at you, buddy. No problem. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you all.
Okay, stick around after. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and wrap her up then.
You have just watched an FFN Network production.